In 2019, I was 22 years old, barely out of nursing school, and I bought a $380,000 house. And no, my parents did not help me. I had no inheritance, no cosigner, just me figuring it out. And here's the part that most people can't believe. I moved in with two tenants and they covered most of my mortgage. So I was building equity in a $380,000 property while barely paying to live there at 22. In this video, I'm walking you through exactly how I did it, the down payment, the loan, how I found the tenants, what the numbers actually look like, and what I wish somebody had told me before I signed. So if you ever thought, I want to own a property, but I don't know where to start, stay with me. This is the video I needed at 22. And if this is your first time here, I'm Kiane. I'm a registered nurse, and I talk about real wealth building, not the fluffy stuff. So hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. So let me take you back to 2019. I was a new nurse. I was making okay money, but I also had student loans. I had a car payment. I had all the regular stuff, right? And everybody around me was doing the same things, working, spending, maybe saving a little bit, rinsing and repeating. But I kept hearing about real estate, like over and over. And I started paying attention to people who had it. They weren't just working for a check, they had money coming in while they slept. And that interested me. So I started researching and I came across something called house hacking. And that became my whole strategy. If you've ever heard of house hacking, let me explain it simply. So, house hacking is when you buy a property, live in one part of it, and rent out the other parts. The rent from your tenants offsets or sometimes completely covers your mortgage. So, you're building equity and living for cheap or even free at the same time. Now, there are different ways you can do this. You can buy a duplex or a triplex. You live in one unit, tenants are in the others. Or you can do what I did, which is buy a single family home with extra bedrooms and rent those rooms out. Okay, so let me get to the actual numbers because this is the part people always want to know. So the purchase price is $380,000. It's a new build in 2019. I put $14,000 down. That is it. Now I know what you're thinking. How do I buy a $380,000 house with only $14,000 down? That's less than 4%. And the answer is in the loan type that I used. I use an FHA loan. FHA loans are backed by the federal government and they allow you to put down as little as 3.5%. As long as your credit score is at least 580. That is it. Most people don't know this exists. They think you need 20% down to buy a house, and that keeps them renting forever. That is a myth. My mortgage came out to about $2,400 a month. That includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, everything. That's what I owed every single month. Now, here's where the house hacking kicked in. I have two bedrooms. I found two tenants and each of them paid me $845 a month. So that's $845 plus $845, and that equals $1,690 a month in rent. My mortgage is $2,400. So my out of pocket is $750 a month to live in a $380,000 property and build equity. So, y'all, I was 22 years old paying $750 a month to live in a house that I owned. My friends paying $1,200 in rent were building zero equity. I was building equity every single month in a property that was appreciating in value. And that's the game. That's what I tell my 22-year-old self. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like everything was perfect because it wasn't. A few things I do differently. Number one, get your credit right first. I got lucky that my credit was in decent shape, but if I had been more strategic about my score, maybe 6 to 12 months before I bought, I might have gotten better interest rate and saved thousands over the life of the loan. Credit is leverage. Two, have a reserve fund. I didn't have much left after my down payment and closing costs. If something had broken in the first few months, I would have been stressed. Always keep 3 to 6 months of mortgage payments in a separate account before you buy. That's your emergency cushion. 3, vet your tenants. I got great tenants, but I didn't have a real screening process like a background check, income verification, rental history. Do all of it. Even when someone seems nice, this is your business. So here's what I want you to do this week if homeownership is even on your radar. Pull your credit score right now, not Credit Karma. Go to annualcreditreport.com and get your actual report. Look at what's on there because your credit score is the first thing that determines whether you qualify for the loan and what rate you get. Everything starts with credit. If your credit score needs work, I got you. I have a whole credit repair resource that walks you through exactly how to clean up your credit the right way, and I will link it below. And if you want to be around other nurses and professional women who are actually doing the work, building credit, investing, buying property, creating income streams, I have a mentorship for that. Please message me on my Instagram and TikTok, The Wealth Building RN. So drop a comment below and tell me, are you trying to buy your first property within the next 12 months? I read every single comment and I want to know where you're at in your journey. If this video helped you, share it with a nurse friend who needs to hear this, and I'll see you in the next one.